This video is sponsored by Surfshark, the best VPN on the market. Surfshark is an app or browser extension that allows you to change your location to access websites in other countries and keep you safe from hackers. For example, we here in Ireland can access other countries' Netflix libraries, streaming services such as DAZN in Spain for those all-important Premier League games. Surfshark keeps you safe and private by protecting everything you do online. When your device connects to the internet, all that information is, in a way, blurred out. Surfshark is particularly useful for keeping you safe if you use public Wi-Fi, such as a college or a cafe. Surfshark allows you to use one subscription on unlimited devices, meaning that you can even share an account with friends and family. On top of this, Surfshark offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, so if you don't like it, you can even get your money back. Our sign-up offer gives you Surfshark VPN for just over €2 per month and up to 4 months free. Why not scan the QR code on screen or use the link in the description to take advantage of this offer. What is up, my friends? How are we? It is Friday night. It is the late night agenda, and the good news, your weekend has officially started. I hope you're all in good spirits. Well, as good as can be. Fingers crossed the Reds can get back to winning ways on Sunday when we travel down to take on West Ham. Tonight we're going to be speaking about Ibrahim Konate and his contract situation. We're going to discuss the crazy take from Didi Hamann about a potential loan move for Florian Wirtz. We'll discuss the latest on Mark Gay. I want to speak about Newcastle for a moment, and I mean this in a supportive way for once. I'm not going to be taking shots at them. That and lots more over the next 90 minutes or so. The preview for the game against West Ham went out earlier on this evening, so if you do have a chance, please give it a watch and let me know your thoughts. You'll see a much changed 11 in there from me. We'll also be bringing you the thoughts of some of the journalists and what we're seeing. And look, of course, we want to know your thoughts, so have at it and welcome along. Right, Sonder, how are we, sir? Said, Ibu better sign the contract now. Embarrassing. Yeah, hopefully he will. Genuinely, though, I'd love to know what's going on in his head at the minute, because if Real Madrid aren't going to sign him, and we'll get to that in a while, he's not going to find better than this football club, and he should be counting his lucky stars that he's been playing. So yeah, hopefully he just signs that contract, as you said. Blizzard, how are you? So do you think we see a changed 11 on Sunday? It's a very interesting question, because there should be, right? You know, if he's going to change this around, you would hope that there are going to be some changes to the 11 at the weekend. Now, do I think there will be as many as there was in my predicted 11? Probably not. But yes, ultimately, I do think there will be some changes to the starting 11, because he knows at this point there are certain players that are letting him down, and it's up to the manager to find a way to make this work. Look, one thing that stood out to me when I did the preview, when I look back to the recent fixtures against West Ham, was it's been a happy hunting ground for us. You know, there's been a couple of 5 scored against them in recent years. So fingers crossed that we can get back to winning ways. Now, spoiler alert, I didn't have us to win in my preview, because I couldn't, with good intentions, really justify selecting a win. So I did go for a 2-2 draw. If you have watched it, would love to know your thoughts on the 11, and of course your thoughts ahead of this one. Hey Craig, would you rather lose on Sunday, put more pressure on the manager to get the sack, or win, which would give the manager more time? Always win. Always, mate. No matter what the manager is, no matter what the situation is, no matter what my own feelings are, always want the team to win. I don't have any interest in Arne Slot not doing well. I take no pleasure in it. I just call things as I see it. And I don't think it's rescuable. But I want it to turn. I want the tide to turn. I want things to get back to winning ways, and I want everybody to be happy. So no, I don't want us to lose on Sunday. I never want Liverpool to lose a game of football, because you know, I don't have a vendetta or an agenda against Arne Slot. I just give my honest view that I don't think he's able to stop the rot at the minute. If he can find a way to do that, happy days. Happy days, that's all we want. You know, we want to get back to winning ways. Sonder said, I hope Wirtz plays on Sunday. He's much needed. I'm not sure, mate, what to expect on that one. There was some talk that he would train maybe tomorrow, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, look, we need him back just for another option, another attacking threat. And of course, he has a lot to prove as well since he's joined Liverpool. And I'm sure he's eager to put that right. Mathletics said, Slot shouldn't even be getting to this West Ham game. He's shown nothing to suggest he can fix these problems. I agree with you, sir. I agree with you. But look, I'm in a tough position here, Because what I don't want to do is come on here every night and just bang on with negativity. It doesn't help any of us. So, as I said before the game against PSV Eindhoven, I hope we go into this game at the weekend and play well and get a result. Not long till we find out. Of course, the Reds aren't in action until Sunday, so we'll soon find out. Out with the bad, in with the only the good. Said I am the oyster king. Do you know I've never had an oyster, mate? Never tried one. But look, I just want us to get back to happier times. I want all of us in here to be feeling a bit more optimistic about the season ahead. Ibu, top 3 channel defender in the world. Huge renewal, in my opinion. Look, when he's focused and when things are going well, yes, Ibrahim Konate is a good defender. But for whatever reason this season, whether it's the contract situation, whether it's the form, whether it's the Ogo, all of it combined, he's just looked shaky. And, you always feel like, even when he's at his very best, that he does have an error in him. But you would hope, if he does sign the renewal, that it will give him some consistency of knowing where he's going to be for the next few years. We'll talk about that now, actually. Let's get into some of the details on the Konate situation. So David Ornstein earlier on said, Real Madrid have informed Liverpool directly and unequivocally, that's a word I always struggle with, unequivocally, that despite such heavy speculation, they now have no interest in recruiting Ibrahim Konate. So that's Real Madrid ruled out of this equation. And it's not just him that said it. Romano said it as well. Vinny O'Connor of Sky, and by the way, I always do enjoy Vinny's report, and I think he's one of the better ones. Vinny said Liverpool remain committed to re-signing Ibrahim Konate if terms can be agreed. Konate is expected to explore his options in January. They will only agree terms with Konate if they're in keeping with their wage structure, and they're also exploring the market for potential reinforcements. So here's what I don't understand. What does Konate think he's going to get better? Because Real Madrid aren't in the mix now, so that's not an option. Liverpool Football Club are one of the biggest football clubs in the world, and he's playing in a title-winning team. I've never understood this need or desire to look away from the club, because the club, unlike Diaz, who it didn't seem like the club wanted to give a new deal to, the club have always made it clear they wanted to give a new deal to Konate. So I find it very disconcerting that he even feels the need to listen or look around, because he can achieve what he wants to achieve in his career here. Because he must know by now. He must know by now whether he wants to stay at Liverpool or not. If he wants to go and play in another club, in another league, cool. But stop wasting everybody's time. If you want to sign the new deal, cool. Get it done. It's this back and forth stuff that annoys me. We're now into a month away from him being able to speak to other teams outside the Premier League and not even have to tell Liverpool. So at some point this has to be just figured out, and he either signs a new deal or he goes. It'll be one or the other, and we don't know as fans which one it'll be. El Stew said, great to hear you positive. Only way is out of this is together. Look, I'm trying to be positive, but we need to see. I think somebody kicked off the stream tonight with the very right question. Do you expect to see changes at the weekend? Because if we see those changes, at least we then as fans can go, okay, he's trying. He's trying to hold people to account. He's trying to make these changes. He's trying to do something different. I think what has frustrated many of us is that he's just doing the same thing over and over again. Same personnel, same problems, same failures, and he doesn't seem to want to do anything about it. That's one of the things that have been annoying me. I don't know what you think is going to happen when you keep playing the same people who are letting you down, other than they'll continue to let you down. So hopefully he does listen. Hopefully he does understand. I'm sure he does, that he needs to make some changes. Silent said, to be honest, no loss if he goes. In one way, I agree, but let me put it to you a different way. At least it's one less bit of recruitment the club have to do, right? So if we can at least get to the point that he's okay to have around, he's worthy of being at Liverpool if he signs a new deal, and there's more competition around him. It leaves Liverpool not having to go into the market then to bring in another centre-back. So it's one less bit of work for the club to do. But at this point, I just think it needs to be, best and final offer. Let us know. The clock's ticking. This can't go on much longer. if we don't hear back from you, we're going to have to assume that you don't want to stay. And look, we're going to have to look after our own interests and bring in somebody. You know, it's the uncertainty again that just adds to the confusion and frustration for so many of us. It was this time last year when West Ham ended Ten Hag at the London Stadium. It's literally written in the stars, Craig. I don't know. Don Nuno, you have one job. I don't want us to lose, mate. I don't. I want us to win. If you said to me right now, Craig, Arne Slot's going to win the next 5 games, I'm telling you now, that would make me extremely happy. Because I don't want to be sitting here saying the manager has to go. I don't have anything against the man. I've supported him while he's been here. But he's got to do something now. Because he knows he's close. He's on the edge. And if he doesn't find a way, it's not going to end well. You know, so the pressure's on. Agree, Craig. He's looking for chemistry by doing the same thing. I think he'll try something new now, though. Again, I can understand that to a certain extent, but the chemistry hasn't been there. So let's just find a way. We just got to get one win and then build from there. And hopefully that comes at the weekend. So if I can really quickly just run out my team to you that I put down for my 11 and you can let me know what you think. Alisson in goal. Right back, I put Gomez. I had Endo at right centre-back beside Van Dijk. Left back, Andy Robertson. My midfield was Ryan Gravenberch, Dominic Szoboszlai, Curtis Jones. And the reason why I went for Curtis Jones over McAllister is I'm seeing more fight at the minute from Curtis Jones. It's not a quality thing because Alexis McAllister is brilliant, but he hasn't been at his best. And I don't want Dom at right back. I want Gomez at right back. I don't want Konate rewarded with another start because I don't like the message it sends. So that's why I'd have Endo at right centre back. The midfield I've explained to you. And then up top, again, I'd make changes. I'd put Chiesa on the right. I'd put Isak through the middle. And I'd put Hugo Ekitike on the left. At least that would show us that he's trying everything. He's leaving no stone unturned. That's what I'd like to see him do. But realistically, do I expect that? No, I don't. Maybe 1 or 2 changes. But realistically speaking, can we actually beat West Ham with our results? You know, mate, I don't know, dude. I don't know. It's half of being a foot fan is about faith, right? Half of being a football fan is about being optimistic and having faith in what you're doing. And, you know, even when Jurgen lost those 6 home games on the bounce, I don't know any Liverpool fan who would even entertain the Jurgen out conversation. It was so silly, it never would have happened. And in this situation, again, nobody wants to sit here and be ridiculing the manager or be calling him out. But it has to be done because we have to be honest with what we see. And there's enough people out there who seem to be glossing over this. So I want to read you a few things, if I can. And then I'll... actually, let me just read this one out. If I were to buy another club, it would be Ron. No other club can beat their quality of youth players. Hope we get Jeremy Jacquet in January. French clubs have had a very good run of producing players. I'll agree with you on that one, mate. It's certainly been a hotbed of talent over the last few years. So I want to read 2 things out to you. I want to start off with something from the Echo. Let me see if you can spot the line in this that annoys me. And let's see if it annoys you too. So I'm going to read out to you 4 lines from a piece in the Echo. And I want to see if you can figure out what one annoys me. So, here we go. Sections of the online Liverpool fan base have called for Arne Slot to become the first Reds manager to be sacked after winning the championship, having led a team to a record-equalling 20th title 6 months ago. Sections of the online Liverpool fan base have called for Arne Slot to become the first Reds manager to be sacked after winning the championship, having led the team to a record-equalling 20th title 6 months ago. What part of that do you think might be annoying me reading it? I'll see if you can figure it out. I'm sure you can. But again, it's a very intentional. Yes, that's it, Wayne. Exactly, bro. Exactly. TOTT2KZ1. Online fans. Online fans. Once again, our friends at the Echo are trying to make out like it's only online fans, which is their way of basically looking down their nose at people, and that there's nobody inside the stadium asking for the manager to be fired. It's just online fans. It's comical. It's just absolutely comical. Because I tell you, I know many season ticket holders. And many of them want the manager gone. I know people who were at the Forest game. I know people who were at the Eindhoven game who go all the time. And the conversations in and around all of those people was that the manager needs to go. So this arrogance, yet again, from the lads at the Echo, the online fan base. Now, you could have just said fan base, because that's true. And you don't need to differentiate just to try and look down on other people. Right. Anyway, I want to just talk about Newcastle for a second, because you often hear me speaking about sticking together as fans. And you often hear me talking about not just brushing stuff off when it affects one club, because it will affect us all. I read a headline from a paper today, and it's from the Daily Mail, and the headline reads, Newcastle will complain to UEFA, the French police and Marseille after accusing officers of indiscriminately assaulting fans on Tuesday night. Now, we need to stick with these Newcastle fans, and we need to support them, because this isn't the first time that this has happened, and it won't be the last time. I remember Manchester United fans getting grief and getting a few slaps over there at Spain at one point. We all know what happened with the French police and the authorities when Liverpool were playing in the Champions League final in France. We seen the treatment that was dished out and the finger pointing that was dished out. So it's important to me that Newcastle fans, despite our quarrels, despite our anger towards each other over the last few months, they need to know we've got their back. They need to know they're supported by other fan bases, because that could just as easily have been Liverpool fans. It could just as easily have been Manchester City, Chelsea fans, Arsenal fans. And we don't want this type of stuff, this type of heavy-handed policing happening to anybody. So my message to those Newcastle fans, for what it's worth, is you will always have my support in matters like this, because it isn't just a one-club thing. Football fans need to be treated with respect and need to be treated like human beings, and not just battered for being away fans because of some nonsense that they have in their head from the 70s or 80s. So if you see them online, if you see anything circulating about it, please do support them, because I wouldn't wish this on any set of travelling fans going over to any match. I hope they all come home safe to their families the same way they went over. This shit needs to stop. What happened to the formation used at Frankfurt? He hasn't seemed to wanted to go back to it. Like he said himself, Mohamed, that he's kind of gone in and out of formations, even in game, mate. You know, we talked about 3 different formations inside the game when we played the other night against PSV Eindhoven. So I don't know, maybe he felt, and again, you can only guess here, maybe he felt that that was the right formation for that particular set of opponents. I don't know after that, but you're not the first one, sir, to bring it up, and dare I say, you won't be the last either, because I think there's a point to what you said. Pure supporter doesn't base on location, it's based on soul and care and love. Exactly, 100%. But, you know, the lads at the Echo love to run this shit again. As Ian Doyle there in his Arsenal jacket, in his profile picture. It all makes me laugh. It really does. I think what happened in Amsterdam last year has let everyone an edge this season in Europe. High tension, sad times. Yep, but the fans need to know we have their support. Newcastle fans hate me. That's okay. I understand why. We've had our back and forths. But I swear on all I hold dear that I never wish any of them an ounce of pain or harm over there, because that shouldn't be happening at a game of football. We know how good the Newcastle fans are. You know? We have our back and forth, our banter with them, but they're a good set of fans, and they're certainly not going to be over there causing trouble. So the heavy-handed treatment they're getting, it needs to be stopped. It needs to be looked at. They deserve better. Football fans deserve better. Salah tracked said, "Hi mate, I'm slot in, although disappointed as well. I just don't see a reasonable replacement manager. Stevie G interim doesn't cut it for me." So I do understand that, mate. I do appreciate where you're coming from. I guess my take would be, if this particular manager hasn't found a way yet, I don't see what keeping him in a job is going to do to justify not firing him. But your point is a valid one. And Stevie G not being the interim for you, I get it. I can get where you're coming from. But is it worth just carrying on with the same stuff if it continues to fail? Because, then you're just being a bit pig-headed by keeping him in at that point. Even just getting somebody different who could inspire the team differently, or just break that little dent in confidence, maybe could just send us back towards the right direction. So, look, I've always promised I'm not going to jump down anybody's throat that is the manager in. I just like people to explain why, and you've done that. So I certainly appreciate your side on it. I haven't seen that to indicate it is going to change, unfortunately, mate. But I hope it does. The real Johnny Sins said, "I'm sorry, Craig. I love my club more than I love Slot. A loss on Sunday would genuinely be, for the greater good, a new dawn for Rio and Fede too." And I understand that. As much as I understand the other gentleman wanting to stay in, I understand you having that sentiment as well. I don't want to judge anybody, mate. We're all here. We all see things differently. We all feel differently. But we all want the best for the club. Right, Stu said, "Hear me out. The parking places around Anfield are a dog to get out of a European night. People leaving early, 3-1 down is understandable." We were lucky enough, actually, when we went over to the United game, part of the hospitality package that we'd gotten, we had a parking spot in there, and I actually thought it was grand. We did wait about half an hour before we went out to it, but we got out all right, to be honest with you. It wasn't too bad. He said, "Yo, what if we hire Stevie as interim and he goes in and does some crazy stuff like win the Champions League or something?" To me, and I can only give you my opinion, bro, it wouldn't matter. I don't think Steven Gerrard has the qualifications to be Liverpool coach. And what I mean by he doesn't have the CV as a coach to back it up. But I do think as a interim short term with a very clear understanding you're not getting the job, I think he could be a good one to go back in, get those standards up, get the confidence up. Yeah, but look, because I don't want to ever feel bad about Steven Gerrard. Basically is where I'm going with this. I don't want to have any discontent towards Steven Gerrard because the man is a hero in my eyes. And I don't want him to come in and, imagine having to fire him at some point. So if he ever comes into the job, I hope it's off his own back from his own success as a coach and not just because he's Liverpool's Steven Gerrard. Am I the only one who's happy that Madrid rejected Konate? No. I've always said my preference will be for him to sign a new deal. I'm just fed up of the whole nonsense. What gets me about it is this exploring option stuff. Because there's no way at this point he doesn't know who's interested in him and who isn't. So he knows Liverpool's offer. He'll know what other clubs are looking at. But where else is he going to go? The only club I've always felt some understanding of with Konate was Paris Saint-Germain. If he ever wanted to go to Paris Saint-Germain and there was a move there from, I've understood that because it's a city. But apart from that, I don't get it. Bayern Munich? Is that league a better league? No, Premier League's a better league than the German league, so I don't get it. But I also don't for 1 second believe he doesn't know what he wants to do. Same with Trent. That's what annoyed me about that. He knew months ago what was happening. Just come out and deal with it. Fess up to it. John Doe, thank you, mate. Oliver said, "It's just getting worse, performances and results." I know. So we went, Oliver, from a point where, we were losing by a goal at the end of the game against Chelsea, and now we're going the other direction. We've lost by 3 in the last 3 games. And, that's what I'm saying. There is no signs that this is getting better. And I wish there was. But I don't know what's sticking your fingers in your ears as the club. And, and let's talk about Mr. Hypocrite, Jamie Carragher, once again, in his article in The Guardian, I think it was The Guardian, he said, "Arne Slot has a week to save his job. It's hard to believe that sentence is being written, but Liverpool's next 3 games against West Ham, Sunderland and Leeds, anything fewer than 7 points will make an already unacceptable situation untenable." Yet he was screaming to sack the manager for picking Konate the other day on a hot mic moment. This is what I keep saying to you guys. What's said publicly and what people actually feel often don't line up. At least with me, like me or loathe me, I'm honest. I say what I feel. I'm not saying one thing to you and then going and doing a video saying something completely different. Carragher said what he felt in the moment, what you felt, what I felt, what we all felt. But he won't own that, and he's backtracked on it again. I find that really, really disgusting. Because he's not doing any favours to anybody by pandering down and not saying what he truly feels. Because his real feelings came out when he was effing and blinded and swearing about the manager and Konate. That's how he felt. Own it. Ryan White, how are we, Ryan? And happy anniversary, bro. A year with us. Appreciate you. Doing a good job to get a Saudi offer at this stage. Again, why would he want to go there either? You know, look, I don't know what motivates Ibrahim Konate. You know, if Ibrahim Konate is a player that's motivated by money and he thinks there's more money on the table elsewhere, cool. You do you. The only thing I want is clarity. You know, some players are motivated by trophies, legacy. Some players are motivated by the financial rewards. I'm not here to judge whatever motivates them. But I don't want anybody playing silly buggers and pretending they don't know what they want to do. He did, you know, this contract renewal situation didn't sneak up on him. He didn't just wake up 2 weeks ago and go, oh shit, my contract's nearly up, is it? I best get thinking about this. He's known. Same as Trent. So let's just be adults, talk about it. Or he said it in haste. Carragher, perhaps. Perhaps he did say it in haste. But he hasn't backtracked on it. He hasn't said he said it in haste. But I can show you many, many other examples of that type of doublespeak. I know it from certain journalists who tell me things and then say something else. So, for me, look, each to their own. But I just get wound up by hypocrisy because I don't think it benefits anybody. Being a good boy here and being a good club man and not saying what's actually the truth isn't right. And there's something that Simon Hughes wrote this week which disappointed me a bit because I think Simon Hughes is an incredible journalist. I've always enjoyed his pieces that he writes on The Athletic and elsewhere. But he said something that I think is wrong. He said replacing Slot would challenge the idea that the club is especially different to any other these days and shatter any illusion that you'll never walk alone might have meaning, especially in periods of distress. I don't like when the term you'll never walk alone gets bandied about in a negative way to look down on people. It's not like Arna hasn't been given plenty of time. It's not like these are 1 or 2 losses and fans are asking for him to go. Fans have seen a manager win the league, go into the market, rebuild with an obscene amount of money, and go backwards and backwards and backwards. You don't get medals for being the best boys. You don't get anything for not firing somebody. There is no bonus prize. That's not what the club's about. The club is about having integrity, doing the right things and holding their head high. Sticking your fingers in your ears and ignoring what's right in front of your face doesn't mean you'll never walk alone. Does that mean Hodgson shouldn't have been fired because you never walk alone? Does that mean Rodgers shouldn't have been fired because you'll never walk alone? It's just, I don't understand it and I don't like it from Simon. As good a journalist as he is, and he has written some fucking brilliant pieces over the years. But I just think, again, that's just an excuse for mediocrity. Because nobody's being unreasonable in this situation by calling for the manager's head. It's off the back of an unprecedented run of failures and results that have been going back and breaking records decades old. World of Naturalist said, what Simon Hughes said is what opposing managers would say because Slot will continue to lead them into the free fall to the bottom. Remember that if Slot goes, a caretaker will need time too. Exactly. Look, I get the sentiment of what Simon's trying to say. But this isn't that he's not being supported. He's been backed in the market. In 3 international breaks we've gone through. At some point you just need to say, this just isn't working, mate. But I don't know what dragging it on longer somehow is going to achieve, other than we're falling further down the league table. Because it's not like there's any signs of this turning. But again, I've nothing but respect for Simon. He's a great journalist. I just disagree with him on that. Neil said it's BS. Correct. We've sacked poor managers before. Best managers have been ruthless in moving on, dropping players who don't perform. So this would be the first manager, I think, that Liverpool would have fired who won a league title. I believe I'm right in saying that. But ultimately, it's an unprecedented situation in general, right? Because we're seeing a run of fixtures and results that we've not seen in a very, 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 in decades. So this isn't itchy trigger from losing a couple of games. And, fans were very, very patient. Even the Echo were saying that it was that Forest game. And up to then, people were probably more Arna in than Arna out. I certainly was more Arna in than Arna out. But that Forest game, coupled with the PSV Eindhoven game, it felt something almost intangible, felt like it had changed. Spirit seemed quelled and people just seemed lost on the pitch, in the stands. There's some things are just immeasurable, and you just know, Sometimes you just know that something's not working out, and that's what this feels like. One of them situations where, with all the best will in the world, it's just doesn't seem like it's getting better. Boy Casito said, "Hello, Craig. How are you doing?" Honestly, today has been a day from hell. I can't go into it, but it's been an absolute day from hell. And I burst out crying at one point. The day's been so stressful. But, we move. We are where we are. Liverpool won so many things without spending stupid amounts of money. We now spent a lot of money. Now it's become the worst team in the world. Arna has failed. Unfortunately, yes, he is failing. And again, nobody takes any pleasure in that. We wanted Arna to come in this season and build on the great work from last year. But as many journalists, to their credit, are starting to say, and I'm talking about, the ones that don't cover our club solely, they're starting to say, and rightly, that this didn't start this season. There is now more of an acceptance that this situation started to unravel a bit from last season. The standards dropped from last season. Now it's carried into this season. So that's why it even underlines to me why it is the right thing to do to remove the manager at this point. Because we're 2 games into what was supposed to be an easy run of games, and we've lost both of them by 3 goals at home. Where was I at? Grizzly. Any more word on Xabi? Would Madrid really give Vinny that much control? Look, I don't pay too much attention to what goes on in Madrid because I despise them. But I don't know, mate. I don't know. Again, what message would that send as a club if you're undermining a manager who's trying to instill standards and, accountability in the dressing room? So they'd have to surely back him. King Kenny was a Czech masterclass away from domestic double after 6 months with a dire squad, and even he, a legend, got sacked. Slot is not untouchable. Agree. I get it, mate. The question that I've asked everybody that is Slot in is, what is it about the situation that you feel is looking like it may change? Because I want to see it. I want to hear it. I'd love to know it. Because I'm not seeing any improvements. We start well in the last couple of games, granted, but then we just fall apart when we concede and, heads drop. And that's not something we're used to seeing from this group. But one thing I'm absolutely certain of now, and again, thankfully I'm starting to see it spoken about more, is that we do need to look to the future now. The days of Mohamed Salah being a guaranteed starter have to be over. The days of Virgil van Dijk being untouchable at the back have to be over. Because it's about building to get the best out of WIRTZ, the best out of Isak, the best out of Ekitike, to bring through Rio Ngamoa the next 5, 6, 7 years of the club. We've got to focus on that now. And look, if Salah can force his way in and fit into that group, cool. but it can't be a no-brainer anymore that he starts. It has to be questioned, I think, for the first time in his Liverpool career. And finally, there's more people talking about that, because I think that's right here. We need to look to the future. Sonder, Ibo already played in the Bundesliga, so doubt he'd be going back. PSG, they have 3 class centre-backs already, so wouldn't start. He'd be crazy not to re-sign for us. Again, that's kind of my view as well, but we've not seen anything yet to say it's close. So, Dean Jones of ESPN, and I don't think this is correct. I've got to say that before I read this out. Even if Liverpool suffer 4 defeats in their next 5 games, Arne Slot is still expected to remain in charge for the Christmas period. I don't back that. And by back it, I mean that's not the information I have. That's certainly not the information that other people have been talking about. But let's wait and see. So, MSI Douglas of the I newspaper said Liverpool are regarded at this point as the frontrunners for Bournemouth's Antoine Semenyo. Last night I put into the WhatsApp that I finally got confirmation of Liverpool's interest in Antoine Semenyo. So now I can tell you that whatever other stories are written, fair enough, but I've for the first time been told that Liverpool are serious about Antoine Semenyo. Now, I don't know if we're going to make a bid. I don't. But it is real, the interest. And we are right there. And what is kind of worrying the club, from what I'm understanding, is there's also severe interest from Manchester City. And I don't know who goes first, who moves first, because I still say centre-back has to be the priority in January. I was actually watching Back Pages tonight and the journalists were talking about it. And they, like me, found it almost unfathomable that we're talking about a winger being a priority in the window when they and everybody else knows it has to be centre-back. I think Jota's passing played a big role. Too many players, no chemistry. Look, I've covered, and I don't want to keep going back over Diogo's passing because I don't agree that it's an acceptable excuse for many, many reasons. And now here we are, nearly 5 months on. So, again, I don't want to be having this conversation because I feel it's unfair and I feel it's disrespectful to his memory to be using it as an excuse to allow the type of performances we've seen. John Doe, thanks for helping me through a tough time in life. Oh, mate, no worries. Whatever I did, I don't know, but mate, it's a pleasure, I love you guys being in, chatting here with me. I appreciate it. Sean, hey Craig, I'm a big fan. No, you're a mate. I don't have fans. I'm not worth having fans. I'm a normal dude, so you're a mate. I've learned today that my family is from Enniscorthy. Nice. Could you tell me about this place as I'm planning to go there from England? All my love. I live there. Before I lived in the house I live in now. We lived in Enniscorthy for 2.5 years. Well, actually just a little bit outside Enniscorthy, but that would have been our nearest town. It's quite a historical town in terms of, Vinegar Hill and stuff like that. It's a quiet enough little town. Just not too much really to go on about it, but yeah, it's similar to so many other little towns in Ireland, man. Definitely say if you're coming over, worth a visit. But yeah, it's a grand little town. It's divided by a river that goes through the middle of it. Just 2 bridges either side of it. It's it's a quiet little town, and about probably half an hour's drive from where I live now. Itachi, Evening Craig, do you think if we were second last season, Arne would still be here as a manager? Good question. Not sure, mate. Not sure. I think there's definitely more of a possibility he wouldn't be. I probably feel that, but I couldn't say for certain. But again, it probably depends on how we finished second last year. Did we fall away at the end? Did we surge at the end? What I'm looking at and what we're all looking at is a team that, did switch off at the end of last season, got results at the start of this season, but has never really been convincing. And since then, unfortunately, it's just gone backwards. L. Stew says, "You'll never walk alone" is a mantra for the club, the staff, the fans. It goes beyond football and applies to all current and next players. Certainly doesn't mean you can't get sacked. Exactly. What I would take from that, personally, is if he is sacked, he's always welcome back. He's always part of the Liverpool family. That's what I would take from that. But it doesn't mean you don't get held accountable for... He's always going to be a manager that won us the league. That's cast in stone forever. First Dutch manager to win the Premier League. He won Liverpool a league title. No one's ever going to take that away from Arne. That's his. That's set in stone. That's in the record books. He'll always be welcome back to Anfield and always be treated with respect when he comes back by the fans, the players, and I'm sure the board. But as you said, you're right. It doesn't mean you can't be held to account and you can't be fired. Pour It Down Blue said, "Why do the journalists want slot to say this crisis equals clicks?" So I said something the other day, mate, yesterday actually. So Wednesday was the biggest day our channel's ever had with regards to watch along numbers, live concurrent viewers, revenue earned. Biggest day we've ever had. And I said that I finished that day staring at a spaghetti bolognese that I couldn't eat with a pounding headache. And the achievements of the channel were the furthest thing from my mind, as I didn't sleep that night and I was just stressed about where the club's at. So for me, yeah, the numbers, give me Liverpool doing well and less viewers every day of the week over Liverpool doing poorly and people coming in to laugh at us, mock us or whatever. I don't understand why certain journos, other than wanting to be a good little boy who don't want to stir the pot, I always talk about journalists, but I always try to differentiate between the journalists that just cover our club, that are kind of currying favour with the club, versus journalists who write about Liverpool and others from a distance. It's the ones that, even when things are clearly one thing, say another, that bugs me. The people that just parrot the narrative the club want out there and don't actually give a shit about their integrity to the viewers or to the readers. That annoys me, because these same people write pieces like sections of the online Liverpool fan base want the manager gone because they think they're better than you and me. They think that they're special. They think that they're the serious people. They're not. A lot of them, in my opinion, are cowards, because these people have told me, some of them, that they get told stuff from the club that they question whether they should be writing it or not. But yeah, a lot of the time they do. Remember, James Pearce said that Liverpool aren't expected to sign a goalkeeper, and we all knew we were signing Managerial, and we signed him about a week later. I think somebody else said we weren't going to sign Jeremy Frimpong, or we weren't interested. But these are things that the club want out there, because of course they don't want the lights on the situation. They want people to look over here while they're working over here. I get it. But you don't then get to bang on about integrity when you're being a yes man and half of what you're writing is bullshit. And then you think you get to look down on others, fan content, call people bad outlets. I've seen some of these journalists online having pops at Anfield Edition and lots of other accounts calling them bad outlets just because they say something that challenges people who think they are unchallengeable. Mulder said, "For me, you'll never walk alone means we wish Slot the best on his next managerial duties, no bad blood, and love for the man who won a league title." Yeah, exactly. Like I said, he's always welcome back. He'll always be thought of highly as bringing a league title back to Anfield. None of that is, I don't think, debatable. But it doesn't mean you get carte blanche to, just keep failing. You don't get anything for bonus points for hanging on longer. All it makes is it more difficult for somebody else to turn it round. It's been 12 Premier League games and not one's been good. Villa was good. I have to say, I think Villa was good. I remember a good solid half hour against Atletico Madrid. Even the first... Yeah, even the last weekend's game, even the first half hour there, I thought we looked okay as well. There have been periods where we've looked okay, but I don't think we've been at our swashbuckling best at any point. John Irving, how are we, John? First taken to Anfield in 62 years as a 4-year-old. Have witnessed years of brilliance, and then Hodgson. I love that we all just used Roy Hodgson as a benchmark just to talk about the poor times. We all do it. This is the worst manure ever, and I don't think anything's going to grow until Slot changes the system. And personnel, I would say, mate. The personnel part's important as well. What's your take on the latest Konate news? I'm not surprised. I mean, I said last week, surely Madrid would be looking at his form and go, nah, we'll pass on that. You know, like, look at it objectively. If you were Real Madrid and you're looking around and you see that Upamecano, Konate and Marque are all on freeze in the summer, which one of them are you going to make a play for based off what you're seeing? It's either going to be Upamecano or Gay. It isn't going to be Konate based off what we're seeing and how he's playing. So he hasn't endeared himself to anybody with his performances. And dare I say it, Didier Deschamps will be paying attention as well. So yeah, the Konate news doesn't surprise me. What does surprise me is that he isn't crawling over broken glass to get the deal with us signed to get, you know, a new deal. So I just want it sorted one way or the other. Again, like I said about Trent, just come out and tell us what you're doing one way or the other so we don't have to go through all this bollocks. City have made Anderson a top target priority for 2026 and are willing to pay 100 million plus for a January move. They may not have learned from Calvin Phillips. What about Rodri? Are they selling Rodri to Madrid or something? Look, I have to say, man, I was very, very impressed by Elliot Anderson when he played against us. Really impressed. I probably didn't think as highly of him at that point as others did, but he really, really did impress when we played against them. So I can see, you know, what the appeal is about, but still think £100 million is crazy money. Boy Kizito. Arne Slot did not win the league. It was Jurgen Klopp and his team that won the league. This is Arne Slot's team playing now. How is this team doing now? Anyway, forget about Konate. He's finished. So, to some extent, I get where you're coming from, but I will, and I try to be fair in what I say. I'm not saying you have to agree with me, but for me, yes, it was Jurgen's team that he inherited, but he did find a way to get over the line, which Jurgen didn't the season before. And the only thing that I think made that difference personally was that he was able to keep players fitter, and we didn't have as many people in the injury room. So that to me was the one difference that he was able to put into that team over Jurgen. That was kind of, you know, players burned out by the end of the season before, and we picked up some injuries and stuff. But, you know, you are right about this is him trying to put his stamp on it now, and it just looks way off, doesn't it? On every, you know, any metric you look at, pressing looks off, passing looks off, chemistry around the pitch looks off. And yes, some of that will be down to new players coming in, but some of it is down to confidence as well, which is through the floor. And I don't know that he has the motivational ability to turn this round in the same way that somebody like a Jurgen Klopp could. Semenyo would keep opposing defences pinned back, provide better defending on the right side, and see a more effective outlet with his pace and power, which Salah isn't doing any of it. Yep. So, how many people right now regret Salah signing that new deal? Because I have to say I do, but what I also have to say is it's a massive surprise to me. Because I said last year, and I meant every single word when I said it, nothing made me think that this man was going to fall off a cliff this year, performance-wise. I didn't expect him to live the same standards again, because I did think last season was a unique kind of season for him. But the fall off for now is more than I ever expected. It has surprised me, because I don't think it's from a lack of looking after himself. You know, he's in a very good condition. So let's ask as a poll. A lot of people are asking me that as a poll question, so let's just throw it in. So, do you now regret Salah getting that new deal? And again, I'm just incredibly surprised. I didn't see the drop-off coming in the way it has, because I don't think he's just down tools or anything. I do genuinely feel like Father Time's catching up with him at this point. And despite how well he looks after himself, and I know he's in and out of the gym all the time, he eats well, he lives the life. But, you know, in that position, explosiveness is so important when you're in a wide position, and the ability to, in our system, to get up and down the sideline is important, and he just doesn't seem to have that anymore. And, you know, he doesn't have Trent in there behind him as well, so he's lost a bit from the relationships in and around him. But, you know, he feels like he's a passenger at the minute, and we're carrying somebody out there on the pitch. So, for me, look, I always expected when Mo signed his new deal that he'd be used a bit more sparingly over the next 2 years, and that he wouldn't be playing 60 games a season. I fully expected that, yes, he'll play a good chunk of the games, but he'll be managed a bit better, he'll be taken off 60, 65 in games, and he'll be given a bit more recovery time perhaps. Maybe if there's 2 games in a week coming up, let's say we played Forest and PSV Eindhoven normally, you may rest them for one of those games and let him have the other one. Because, again, you want to make sure that when he is on the pitch, he's at his best. But the manager hasn't even been doing that. Minecraft man on the left wing, and I'm going in a coma. Minecraft man. You're going to have to explain that one to me. Is that Gakpo? I don't know. Sorry, I don't know what you mean by Minecraft man. Salah single-handedly won the league himself last season. He deserved a new contract. Nobody said he didn't deserve a new contract. That isn't the question even being asked. I'm asked now, do you regret him getting that new contract? Because I think we'll all agree with you, Faisal, excuse me. He deserved it, you're right. Of course he did. But it now feels like the one thing everybody was fearful of and didn't think was going to happen, unfortunately happened. But I get your point as well, because I don't think he won it single-handedly. I think that's unfair. But he did play a huge role in us winning that league last year, without a doubt, as he has done for many of the trophies. L. Stew said, with respect to Mo, he has a huge ego. Once he realises the Prem is too much, he'll ask for that big money move, trust me. So, even at that, I wouldn't hold a big ego against him. Because, put yourself in his shoes. You're an icon in the game. You are very secure financially. You are lauded everywhere you go. You are held on a pedestal. Like, something popped into my head the other night, and I haven't brought it up yet because I didn't really know how to address it. But you know the way we're talking about the Liverpool way, right? And we're talking about doing things the Liverpool way, with humility, with respect. I thought about Salah's new contract extension unveiling, and nothing about that felt like the Liverpool way to me. Putting a throne in the middle of the pitch, with him on it, with a crown. Nothing about that feels the Liverpool way to me. An understated, respectful way, not arrogant, not cocky. I don't know. It just popped into my head the other day because I was thinking about the contract renewals, the unveiling of WIRTZ and stuff like that. None of that is the way Liverpool have ever done things over the years. So I found, when we talk about the Liverpool way as well, we have to admit that often changes with modern times, of course, as well. And that should apply to all aspects. And I'm not saying that it was wrong to put him in the crown and on the thrown in the middle of the pitch. I'm not saying that was wrong whatsoever, but it's different, right? King Kenny wasn't coming out in a crown for a contract renewal back in the day. That was not his fault. Did I assign blame to anyone, dude? I'm not having a go at Salah here. I'm saying the Liverpool way. I'm not saying Salah's an egotistical maniac who wanted a throne. I'm sure it wasn't his idea. Again, some people get very defensive about Mo. I'm not talking about Mo. I'm talking about this whole the Liverpool way shit that we get told about all the time. We don't sack managers because it's not the Liverpool way. But, times change. Football evolves. Things evolve. And now the Liverpool way is different because we're in a different age. And again, I've no problem with Mo sitting there in a throne in the middle of the pitch. None whatsoever. But it is removed from the way we usually do things. Itachi said, I will never forget these summer evenings, WIRTZ Kirkes, we were all hyped, and do we get Isak polls were so up. Oh man, I loved it. What a summer. Like. We were all buzzing with that summer. And God, imagine we had said that we'd be sitting here at the end of November, bottom half of the league table, talking about sacking the manager. None of us would have felt that was possible. Tony said, has Slot got the sack? No. Even Harvey's upset. You can hear him. I'm good, thank you, man. I'm good. I had a terrible, terrible day today. It's just one kicking the balls after another. But yeah, we move, mate. And I hope you're good, Tony. But yes, no, he hasn't been. West Ham got Ten Hag sacked, said the legend. Somebody mentioned that earlier on, mate. I don't know if it was Johnny Sins, I think, actually. Said that earlier on, yeah. To be fair, one bad season for Mo shouldn't discredit 8 previous years. But, Joseph, who said it did? This is what I get wound up by, bro. Just because we're being critical of somebody now doesn't discredit the love we feel for them and the praise they've rightly been given over the years. Nobody's trying to say he isn't a legend. Nobody's ever said that. What we're saying is he's not doing it this season so far, so he should be on the bench a bit. Or he should be reminded he's not undroppable. Surely that's common sense. It doesn't mean we don't love and respect him. We showed that love and respect last year when every single one of us, match going, non-match going, all wanted him to have a new deal. All spoke in support of him. All pushed the club to give him that deal. For the very reason you've all said is he's deserved it. But now this season, we're dealing with the here and now. And in the here and now, we're 12th. In the here and now, we're out of the League Cup. In the here and now, we have a -2 goal difference. We've been beaten by 3 goals on 3 occasions in a row. That's the here and now. So we need to change the situation now. The history books are already locked in. His icon status is already there. But what none of us want is to remember him in this way. You and I don't want to remember a couple of seasons with Mo Salah not doing it. Because nobody wants to think of him in that way. That's the way I look at it anyway. It's like, how many fighters, I don't know if you're boxing fans or whatever, but so many fighters have gone a few fights too far, have come back for the wrong reasons, have stayed a little bit too long. Even listen to Jamie Carragher when he was talking about hanging up the boots himself. He didn't want to drop down to the divisions. If he couldn't do it at Liverpool, if he wasn't capable of it, he just wanted to hang up his boots. And that's what I'm talking about here. I don't want to think about Mo or remember Mo from this season. Great stream, mate. Slot in or out, just one success. Of course, yeah, all of us. Dude, I think whether we are slot in or slot out, every one of us wants Liverpool, I hope, to pick up 3 points on Sunday. What's your Chelsea-Arsenal prediction for the weekend? Is it at the Bridge or is it at the Emirates? I don't know, is the honest. So I'll give you different answers depending on where it is. So, I'll wait for somebody in the chat to tell me if it's at the Bridge or if it's at the Emirates, and I'll give you my answer. Look, Arsenal have been incredibly impressive this season. You know, I know we beat you by a goal, an incredible free kick from Szoboszlai, but you've been incredible. It's at the bridge, thank you. And we'll be deserving title winners if you win the league. And don't let anybody try and piss all over your league title or tell you you won it because everyone else was shit. You won it if you win it because you've deserved it. But Chelsea are a good team. And every time in my head, I write them off a little bit, they come up with a Barcelona performance. They come up with a Paris Saint-Germain performance. And it isn't going to be easy for you. It's going to be a tough game. But you've got breathing room. So no matter what happens in it, it's not going to define your season, I don't think. Would you take a point right now if it was on the table to leave Stamford Bridge with? Because, I honestly have been really impressive. And, our business was rightly lauded in the summer and people were talking about how great it was. But the depth that you've added to your squad, you've got no Gabriel now and there's Nkapie stepping in. Do you know what I'd give now as a Liverpool fan to have an Nkapie on our bench? We have an unfit Joe Gomez, unfortunately. A young kid who's got huge potential that's out for the season. A player who's running down his contract, who's all over the shop. And we've spent loads of dough. So, yeah. I think worst case scenario, you'll get a draw. But whatever happens, I wouldn't concern yourself with it because you're the real deal this year. You showed that in Europe the other night against Bayern Munich. You beat them convincingly. You look like you're ready to me, mate. And I haven't said that about Arsenal for a long time. You look like you're ready. Every attacker's numbers have fallen, and it started last season when looking at shots per game and more. Slot goes and Salah is back, way too isolated. I don't think it is going to be a case of Slot going and Salah's back. I really don't. Because my own eyes tell me that Salah's not the same player. He hasn't got the same ability to take a man on. He hasn't got the same fear factor with pace. He isn't helping out enough defensively. So, yeah, I think managed decline over the next 18 months is the sensible play and start to build a team for life after him. I'm not saying we just throw him out into the cold, but I'm saying we do start to have to look towards the future now. And I'd much rather see Rio get more minutes. I'd much rather see him tinker with the front three, see if any other combinations work. Itachi said, these Salah fanboys, I can't. Look, in one way, I admire their loyalty to somebody. But in another way, I often think that loyalty undermines the good of the club. Because when Salah moves on to whoever in the future, and these Salah fans go with him, they won't care what happens to Liverpool because they'll be following their man to, MLS, Saudi, wherever he goes. But we'll still be at Liverpool. We'll still be Liverpool fans. We'll still be wanting the best for our club. Salah is part of our story. He's a modern part of our story, but the story is going to continue. Corbyn said Luton wouldn't take Konate free on current form. Joseph said, I agree with you, Craig, just a misunderstanding. Oh, good, man. I'm just trying to explain my stance. Again, you don't ever need to explain yourself to me, Joseph. You've been around long enough, mate. I know you at this point. I know you're a good fella. You're no troll or anything like that. If we disagree at times, dude, it's all good. All good. Julian, how are we, sir? Said, call me crazy, but at the time, I was still saying we should have let Salah go from that offer from Al Hilal. I think it was 150 mil, if I remember, Julian. But for me, I said don't take it at the time, mate. And I still think that was the right decision. Even, the gentleman earlier on, we were talking about Salah's extension. He did earn the contract last season. I'm just genuinely shocked this year. It looks like he's aged overnight, which, is unfortunate. I've never, people have come into me in the chat and said, do you think he's saving himself for the AFCON, his last one? Do you think he saved himself for the World Cup, his last one? No, I don't. I just think everything's taken its toll. All the football, all the national games, all the travelling. He's 34 years of age, or 33 years of age. Just feels like it's natural, you know? It's no accident that when you look at most of the blistering forwards in world football, they're young, because that explosiveness is needed. You know, you need that 2-3 yards of pace to get off the mark. That's why I keep talking about young, pacey wingers, because they put the fear of God into fullbacks. And at the minute, it feels like teams are just doubling up on Salah. And one man, if he tries to go on the outside, puts the block in. If he tries to go on the inside, one man goes across to put him there. But either way, the things we used to see him being able to do isn't happening. Even when he does get into a position to shoot, I would go as far as to say I think his shooting has gotten worse. Because a few years he'd be hitting crossbars, hitting posts, keeper would be making saves and he'd stick a few in. These days when he cuts in onto that left foot, you know, look at the one he took at the weekend. He skied it, like miles over the bar. So I think a lot of things with him have declined. And when the team is doing well and everybody's confident, yeah, maybe then you can say to him you don't need to track back as much. But when things aren't going well, it's all hands to the pump and everybody needs to get back to basics and do the hard yards. You can't carry a passenger. Pulsting Gaines said, Arnott will lose his job over stubbornness to reward stinking performances from our centre-backs and wingers who keep getting played regardless. How can the rest of the team thrive? That's what I would say, mate, is going to be his undoing. You know, as a fan, if I was seeing him, let's say my team for this weekend, if he put my team out there on Sunday and we didn't win, at least I could come on here afterwards and go, well, he tried something new. You know, he did mix it up. And, you know, maybe we go again. Maybe we try a little change. But when you're just doing the same stuff and then coming out with phrases like, they knew how to play against us, we can't play against the low block, just a certain language even from the manager that I find very defeatist. Did Madrid actually do the decent thing for once and inform us they're not after Konate? Yes. And this came from like top tier source. David Ornstein. Real Madrid have informed Liverpool directly and unequivocally that despite such heavy speculation, they now have no interest in recruiting Ibrahim Konate. So, yeah, it's pretty clear. Right, I want to read this one out from David Ornstein as well. A summer transfer to Liverpool collapsed on deadline day, but Mark Gay is expected to depart Selhurst Park in 2026. Whether the Premier League champions will try again in January remains unclear, but even if they or other suitors do, any proposal would need to satisfy Palace and Gay, which is by no means guaranteed. So, right now, not only do we have poor form as Liverpool fans, and we're dropping on the league table, and we're seeing players not play that we know they can. We've got new signings come in who haven't hit the ground running. On top of all of that now, we also have worries about a contract situation for a centre-back at the club. We have worries about whether we're going to be able to put out another centre-back in January. There's so many things on top of this, and it all just comes together into just feeling like one big migraine. One big migraine. The real Johnny Sin said, West Ham got Gerrard sacked too at Villa. Then Ten Hag. It's written in the stars, Craig. Slot Doomsday is on Sunday and we will be there. Nuno, please. Look, again, I don't want us to lose, mate. I never want us to lose. I want us to win the game. Because I don't want this club falling down that league table. You know, I want us to be in the Champions League next year again. Chris, thank you so much, Chris Tukey. Really, really kind of you, bro. Thank you. Chip Chipperson, how are we, sir? There's a serious lack of runners in our team. Yeah, agree. Firmino, Jota and even Nunez opened up space for Salah to do his magic. Wirtz, Isak and Ekitike are better footballers, but all want to be the main characters. Yeah, this was an interesting thing that I think, if I remember correctly, it was what's his name? Match of the Day pundit. Former striker, AJ's mate, played for what? Troy Deeney. Troy Deeney said something similar, that could it be that there's a lot of egos in there? Salah is the man at Liverpool, Isak was the man at Newcastle, WIRTZ was the man at Leverkusen, Ekitike was the man at Frankfurt, and now you've got all of these guys in jostling for position. But the only way it can work when you've got that many alphas in there is that everybody just does the best for the team. Everybody puts their egos aside and knows the hard work is a minimum. And then you let that class come through. But they will only succeed if they're together. There can't be egos. There can't be on the main guys. It's do what's right for the team. And when we seen the Luis Diaz comments about going into that Bayern dressing room and people doing the right things for the team, it certainly made many of us wonder, was there something inside our dressing room that felt like there is a pecking order? Because there have been times this season where many people, not just Salah, many of them have made the wrong decision in the final third. So yeah, I think that main character syndrome, there might be something to that. Not just for 3 points, said the legend, but for pride, we need a win. Look, I get it. Last year we were in similar positions, and I was going into every game feeling Liverpool were invincible somewhat. Nobody was going to beat us. You might get a draw out of us at your gaff, but you're not beating us. Had to vote no for Salah. As bad as his form has been, he could still come back strong. Look, I get it. That's what I said. It's just a conversation. So, question was, do you now regret Salah getting that new deal? 57% said yes. 53% said no. So, look, call it almost in the middle there. I don't regret the decision to give it to him because I think it was the right decision. But I feel like there are people now looking at it thinking it was the wrong decision. But nobody, could you have really known? Because I dare say if you looked at the underlying numbers last year, even in the data, yes, it would have shown that it was somewhat of a unique season. But, he was still the most important factor in us winning that league title. M. Parker said, Craig, you're still taking Jared as caretaker after you said Salah can't be dropped for anyone. Chiesa being an impact player, much love and respect. Yeah, I had asked myself, mate, the same thing, and here's why I'm going to say yes. Because if he did walk into that dressing room, he knows Stevie G respects him, so he knows that now straight from the off. And I feel like Stevie will be able to say, I get it, Mo. I get the pressures. Team on your back. I get it. Here's what I did. And I think he could still inspire him to get whatever is left in the tank out and to do the stuff for the team. He can say, look, Mo, I played it right back in a Champions League final against an AC Milan team. An AC Milan team with killers in it. Shevchenko, Pirlo, just absolute savages of footballers. But I did what I needed to do to help the team. And we won that Champions League. You won league titles, Mo, with this Liverpool team against better teams because you all fought together and pulled together. We need that, Mo. We need you out there, selfless leader, showing that you'll do it. And if you'll do it, if Mo will do it, everybody else has to do it. That's what I'm saying, man. That's the type of stuff that I would say Stevie G could at least go in there and do. We all know tactically he hasn't been the greatest coach, but there are things that he can relate to with Mohamed Salah from a footballing perspective, from an icon perspective, from somebody that's carried the weight of the badge. Joseph, so I think Mo's been overwhelmed maybe by new attacking players and is feeling a need to prove himself once more. Is to the detriment of the rest of the team. Look, the whole lot of it's been just unsatisfactory from everyone. Look, we're not seeing what we'd hoped from WIRTZ yet. Isak's probably dragged on longer unfit than we would have hoped for. Ekitike has been a bright spark. Milos Kerkez, he's shown signs, promises, little glimpses of his talent, but nowhere near enough consistency, and still his judgment has been wrong at times. We've been unlucky, 2 right backs been injured. Like, there are some extenuating circumstances, but again, my big thing about Salah is I don't think he has the ability to go in there and inspire people. I just don't. I think he's very switched on, very bright. But I'm an emotional guy. And I respond to that emotion. And I want that Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, let's go out there. We're going to fucking war. We're going out here. This is our gaff. They ain't coming in here and winning. I need that. And I don't see Slot, especially at times like this, when, to be fair, all the tactical tweaks, all the tactical changes in the world ain't worth a shit if you don't believe it. If you don't believe that you're invincible, that you're going to go out onto that pitch, first tackle, bang, you're at Anfield. Welcome, bitch. This is our gaff. I think we'll keep getting played till he goes to AFCON. I'd be surprised if he drops them. I dare say you might be right, mate. You might be right. But what we do know is for 4 to 6 weeks, we aren't going to have him. And there will be no pressure on Arna because the media won't be talking about him being dropped or rotated or anything else. So we'll get to see, and I guess the real question would come, what if we do start to win some games? What if we pick up a good run while he's away? Then it's going to be a big test of Arna when he comes back. Give a shout out to Brian Danash, please. Slot is still a joke. Tactically inept. In many games this season, outclassed midweek by an inferior team. Well, definitely, Brian. How are we, bro? Appreciate all of you guys watching. And Reese, that's one thing that's disappointed me the most about him this year. Is last year, all of us were frustrated with how slow we started in many games, but he was able to make those changes. But this season, that's probably my biggest disappointment in Arna, is that he hasn't been able to find a way. And last season, that was probably the thing I would have praised him most for, is those little tactical adjustments. Bet you Konate plays. So here's what I think our lineup looks like at the weekend. Not my lineup, which is on the preview. Here's what I think it lines up like. Alisson, Gomez at right back, Konate, Van Dijk, Robertson. Midfield, Maka, Gravenberch, Szoboszlai, Salah on the right. And I'm confused by the front two after that. Salah on the right, I think, is a banker. But will he go Isak Ekitike to the left? Because, if Ekitike's fit and it was just a back spasm, I'd want both on. Because now Isak's fit. Now it's about getting relationships and stuff. So that's what I think we'll see. Some variation of that. Maybe it's Gakpo on the left and Ekitike through the middle. I don't know. But I think something along those lines is probably what we will see. What if Mo goes and Chiesa still doesn't get to play? That then is just a very clear sign, mate, that the manager just doesn't want them. And come what may, that's going to be pretty clear at that point, isn't it? Slot seems far too reserved to ignite fire in their bellies for me, and we need that to a man. The basics need to return: work rate, desire, application, and conviction in what we do, said Nigel. Yeah, Nigel, I agree. The ability to inspire is important. It really is, and I think it's an underrated thing. I thought you said Jones earlier, leaving Mac out. I don't know if you missed part of what I said, Paddy Wacker, but I said this is the team I think Arna will put out. My team, exactly as you've said, mate, yes, Jones was in there. But I think the team we're going to see was the one I just mentioned. For me, my team was Alisson in goal, Gomez at right back, Endo, Virgil, Robbo, midfield of Szoboszlai, Gravenberch and Jones, and then right-hand side Chiesa, left-hand side Ekitike and Isak through the middle. Yeah, all good, man. All good. No worries, Paddy Wacker. All good. I bought a WIRTZ shirt this year. Hardly seen him play. Look, he's the one banker for me on all of this. Oh, and on that, let me take you through this very, 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 very strange take from Didi Hamann. I was praising Didi Hamann the other day for bluntly calling out Salah not tracking back. This This I don't get from Didi. He said, I think WIRTZ has got until Christmas to show his worth. That's not easy because, as I said, the team is not functioning at the moment. If he doesn't do it from now until Christmas, I'm pretty sure that the club will get together with him and see what's best for all parties. Could he still leave Liverpool on loan in January? Yeah. What? What? There is no way Liverpool Football Club are going to sanction a loan of a £116 million player that they've just brought in January. That has to be one of the craziest takes I've heard. I'm not trying to say that WIRTZ has hit the ground running, but what I am trying to say is, the fuck are we spending £116 million to loan him out and admit defeat? Because that's what you're doing at that point. You're admitting that we can't get out of tune out of this guy, that we can't get this guy playing. No, there's no way that happens. No way. It's crazy. I couldn't believe it. Yeah, I read it 3 times when I first seen it just to make sure I wasn't seeing something I shouldn't have been. World of Naturalist said, rubbish talk, it's not WIRTZ who's been bad, it's those around him who are doing their job, or aren't doing their job. David Newell said, Didi been smoking some heavy stuff. Dude, I smoke some heavy stuff. I wouldn't come out with that. And I love Didi. And I mean, like, I'm a huge Didi fan. That could be very different if you're in Ireland, actually. But it still applies. It still applies. Yeah, like, I got to meet Didi Hamann and spend a good 40 minutes with him. And an absolute lovely fella. Really enjoyed meeting him. I got a signed shirt off him made out to me as well. I love him. I've always liked Didi Hamann. But I don't get that take at all. I don't get it. So, Telegraph over in the Netherlands have said this, and it's something we mentioned the other day. We're Liverpool. I do love Diddy's. If we're talking about, you know, the Irish version of that word, which is, I think, a very Irish thing. Actually, do you know what? I was listening to gigs last night. I was listening to a bit of Kano, and then I was listening to a bit of gigs. And one of the lines from his song kind of just sticks into my mind right now. Look what the cat dragged in when he says, I'm a breast man, I'm a tits man, but I rate arses. That's kind of summarises me as well. Yeah, so yeah. It's true. It's true. I do. Right, Tipsy Dipsy said, for me, I cannot understand the ultra Salah defenders. He's not immune to criticism. No matter how many records he's broken, people nowadays are soft. So, we did something nice today, and we're hoping to do more for this young man moving forward. There's a young man that's part of that works a little bit with the builders that have been doing the stuff here at the house. And he's an MMA fighter. He's a European champion. He's a world champion. He's still in secondary school. He's about to leave. I bought a signed glove from Tom Aspinall through the Collector's Corner a while ago. And we gave it to him today. And we're going to help sponsor him a little bit as well as he goes to fight in the World Championships again next year. As does the builder, Dean Hayden Construction. Shout out to Dean. And this young man is one of the most impressive young people I've ever met. In 6th year, up every day at 5:30 running, living the right life. He has had 70 wins as an amateur already, and I've not met many young lads this impressive. I mean, this dude knows he's destined for something big and is focused, and it's going to be a pleasure following this young man's journey. I'm going to highlight him more as and when we can, because I think this young man is destined for very good things, and we would love to be part of that journey with him and support him how we can. So, yeah, so impressed with him. Honestly, so impressed with him. Up every day, running, training twice a day, making weight. I mean, just incredibly impressive stuff. Tipsy Dipsy, to go back to your comment, sorry. For me, I cannot understand the ultra solid defenders. Not immune to criticism, no matter how many records he's broken. People nowadays are soft. Yes, they are. People nowadays confuse critiquing for hate. And it's one of my pet peeves in the modern day. Nobody should be immune from criticism. You know, nobody. I'm so scared about what happens if we miss Champions League football. With this squad and wage bill, could mean serious downward spiral for years to come. Yeah, it's big pressure. It's big pressure. But we gotta. That's why I'm saying we can't afford to not be in Europe next year or in the Champions League next year. So yeah, you're right. I'm scared about that as well. S. Sinveng said, I just hope we seem like we have more of a game plan this weekend. We can see some sort of style start to emerge. Definitely. Yeah, I agree. Right. This one. No team has missed more big chances than Liverpool in the Premier League this season with 25. Credit anything Liverpool for that post. They write, no team has missed more big chances than Liverpool this season in the Premier League, 25. Which is a lot. And again, for people who may have not been with us at the start of the stream, there was something I highlighted that I'd like to what I'd like to say again is to Newcastle fans. So there's a piece in the Mail that said Newcastle will complain to UEFA, the French police and Marseille after accusing officers of indiscriminately assaulting fans on Tuesday night. They need our support as football fans right now, because we've seen what the French authorities did to our fans and what they tried to pin the blame on. So if you see Newcastle fans on social media speaking about this, please show them your support, because this is bigger than any one club. You know, this could easily be our fans over there next year. It could be United fans over there in another year. This type of stuff shouldn't happen to any football fans attending games of football. And I'm sick of it getting brushed under the carpet and football fans being treated like animals. I've had my back and forth with Newcastle fans, but they'll always have my respect, because I think more often than not they're good people. I don't wish that to happen to anybody. And it, you know, what happened to us in Paris, I dare wonder, you know, if Cave Solocol and many other journalists weren't there saying what was really happening, the finger of blame, again, well and truly pointed at Liverpool. Liverpool fans showing up late to get in. No, that wasn't the case. So there's form for this shit, and they need to know this isn't a Newcastle thing. This is football fans together. We need to stand and support them, because it could be our fans or another set of fans, and none of us want any football fan to go to a game of football for that treatment. None of them. Sorry, I'm just checking through my notes to make sure I haven't missed that. Yeah, I think I've covered them. So I just want to say a couple of things as well. There won't be a live stream tomorrow. I've got, like I said, today on a personal level has been a really tough day. I can't talk about what's happened, but it's been a tough day for my family. So I'm going to take tomorrow to just kind of check in, make sure everyone's okay, deal with a couple of things, and yeah. So I won't be live tomorrow, but I will see you guys on Sunday for the watch along. We'll be starting from 12:45. Now I'm not going yet. I've still got about half an hour to go, but just letting you know, tomorrow, nothing up. Don't stress about it. We usually try to take the alternate day of when we're playing off live content at the weekend. So there will be a video out tomorrow. I'll be sticking out a news video, but I just won't be on live. Honestly, if I wish I could tell you what happened today, because basically somebody sent trouble our way intentionally, and yeah, my wife's not doing too well today, and I've got something to take care of. So yeah, sorry, I won't be around tomorrow, like I said. Paddy Wacker said yes, but the difference is Newcastle actually had top people from the club who were in with the fans. Those bigwigs also got assaulted. Look, either way, You know, it shouldn't be happening, full stop, to anyone. Big wigs, any normal fans. I remember West Ham when they won the Conference League. I think some of their friends and family were getting some shitty treatment and stuff. So look, I wouldn't wish it on anybody, and certainly not Newcastle fans or any other Premier League fans going to follow their team around Europe. Sorry, I'm just seeing loads of lovely messages in the chat. Thank you. Yeah, look, today's been a tough one. It's been a tough one. Yeah, don't really. I can't go into it anymore, unfortunately, at the minute because it's an evolving situation. But some little prick has sent a big problem our family's way for some reasons that I just can't fathom. But it will, I've got to make sure she's okay. I don't understand Sloth's complete disregard for young players. He's got rid of them all or doesn't give them a chance. All the great managers bring youth through the club and integrate into the firsts. So, yeah, I agree. I get wound up, mate, by the Rio and Gamoa stuff in particular. Sorry, I just need to take a drink. Sorry. So our boiler wasn't working, and my wife rang the council because that's what we have to do when something isn't working. So the guy came out, said he'd be back to fix the boiler, hasn't come back near the house, and reported us for building the shed. And the council came out today with a cease work order for a shed that is no different to 15 or 20 other sheds in my estate, right around Wexford. And he hasn't fucking even come back to fix the boiler. He just ratted us out for fucking no reason, for absolute spitefulness. Yeah. So we've got to deal with that. It's just fucking... just feels like one kick in the balls after another. Anyway. Sorry. We had to get the Mark Gay deal done this summer. We went into the season 3 senior centre-backs, knowing Leone wasn't expected to play in the Prem. Yeah, we left ourselves short. Yeah, there's no argument about that, mate. We left ourselves short, and it feels like we were trying to be too clever, Martin, to some extent. I'll never understand why we left that so late for loads of different reasons. And it baffles me to this day because if there's one thing we all know any manager signing a player would want, it's time, especially with a new player in a very key position like centre-back. So to have done it as late as we did, how much money will I lose if it goes bad? About 40 grand. My life savings, basically. Like I said, this is our dream. And we're halfway through buying the house as well, which makes the whole thing fucking hilarious. Because it's not a planning permission thing. Like, it's within code. It's nothing to do with planning permission. It doesn't need planning permission. That was admitted today. There's even no window in the fucking thing at the front of it or anything like. It's a clear building that's going to be used for normal family and stuff. And there's fucking 25, 50 of them around this town in other houses. But for some reason, some fucking prick decided to send trouble our way for no reason. Yeah. Yeah, it is what it is. He'll get his. That's all I can say. And I don't mean that in a physical, threatening kind of way. I mean, he'll get his. God bless you and your family and praying for you all. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Like, I'm standing in the back garden with this lad, and gardens all around me with bigger sheds, higher sheds. And I'm sitting here looking at, I'm getting punished because I'm doing it right. I've a builder in doing ours properly, to code, safely. Everything done as it should be. And I'm getting punished for that. Fucking assholes. Honestly, I don't get it. It's not like it's going to be lived in. And it wasn't one of my neighbours, by the way. Definitely, because they're A1. I love my neighbours. They're all sound. This was the council employee that just dobbed us in. And you know what the funny thing is? He didn't come back to fix the boiler, but he had time to dob us in, but he didn't have time to come and do his job. You all know how hard I've worked to try to get that room. For me, for Lucas. Fuck. Yeah, sorry for venting. Just been a tough one. You know, Sabrina's been pretty shaken up today, and I hate seeing her like that. You know, I'm much more relaxed about these type of things than she is. You know, she's gone to the gym to try and run off some of the stress, but it's been a really tough day. How much would Jarell Kwanzaa's buyback clause? I've seen numbers that range up to about 60, but I don't know is the answer. We got 35. I would have to say there's... I would imagine it's probably 45-ish at a guess, and it is somewhat of a guess. But what I found really interesting, Garrett, was there was a story a while back that said that not only is that amount set in stone, the potential buyback, but that he'd already signed an agreement that if he does come back, lays out a new deal. So it kind of feels like there is an anticipation that down the line at some point that may be revisited. So yeah, if that all goes tits up, it could be the end of the channel. So yeah, fingers crossed. Nadral said Slot must drop Salah, and Konate and Carragher playing Ekitike to win the next game. If there is no tactical change, I don't see us winning. I agree. Look, I expect that there might be a chance on Konate and Carragher being dropped for this game, Nadral, but I don't think... I'm not expecting them to drop Salah as well. As much as I don't disagree with you, I'm not expecting it. Gareth said vent, there's nothing wrong with venting. Oh man, I don't know, it's just been one of them days, you know? One of them days. What have we got? Right, we've about 20 minutes left. Let's be upbeat. Let's be positive for the last 20 minutes. Never mind that. Thank you for letting me vent, by the way. I appreciate you. I don't come on here to add to your problems. Backline is shot. Robbo and Bradley are only worth keeping. So how are we all feeling about the Frimpong situation? Because I don't know where my head's at with that situation. Like, he's due back, I think, in the next 10 days or so. Do you think when he does come back, like, let's say Frimpong and Bradley both come back roughly at the same time. You know, let's run a poll on this one, because I'm really interested to know which one you think is the starting right back when they're fit. Right, so who's your starting right back when fit? Bradley or Frimpong? I'm really intrigued to know the answer on this one because I've always been a little bit dubious of us signing Frimpong. Not because of the quality of the player. I think Jeremy Frimpong's a very good footballer. I've just never understood how he fits in naturally into the way we play. You know, Trent was a different type of right back, but that's because of the attributes he had as a ball playing right back with his passing range and his striking ability. Frimpong's a wing back. And I've never really understood the natural fit for him at right, unless there was a talk of a change of system. So yeah, that's the one for me that I just don't. I've never been able to really understand, but I do rate the player. And as a lad, he looks A1. I'm sure he's brilliant to have around the club as well. Seems like a really humble, lovely guy. But I just don't. I don't see the natural fit for the way we play. And I definitely don't think that he's ever going to be a good enough right winger to look at as a standalone right winger. Paddy Wacker, no, you don't. You've had so many talking about your own personal experience. You know, us Irishmen are afraid to ask for help. It's not asking for help. It's just, I just think the whole situation's so unnecessary because it's simply down to. It's not planning permission. It's nothing along those lines. It's not the quality of it. It's this some mad mythical thing of you didn't ask us for permission. Well, nor did anybody else, but I'm the only one being held to account on it. It just feels like I'm being no, it's nothing to do with a building permit. It's nothing to do with any of that. It's already been admitted that there's nothing wrong with it size-wise, as in it doesn't break any codes. You know, it's 25 square metres is the planning permission in Ireland. Anything above that you need planning permission for. And there are other bits alongside that, but it's under that. So none of it makes sense other than, we're just being targeted for stuff that everybody else is doing, but yeah, I'm the only one being held to account on it. The whole thing feels mad. And the irony is the one that we're building is the best built of any of them. Anyway, sorry. Somebody said, read our messages as well. I do, mate. I do. I go between super chats and regular messages, mate. I try to flick between the two of them. Bradley, buddy, Frimpong spends more time out injured than playing. Can't really judge him. Yeah, it's a tough one. Excuse me, because we haven't really got a huge sample size of Frimpong. So what I found really interesting in the summer was there were games where Frimpong and Bradley both played, and we actually looked well when they both played. They looked like the energy levels. Do you remember some of these preseason friendlies? Both of them were on the pitch at times on the right-hand side, and I remember thinking, God, they're going to be a handful for both together. But yeah, this season, we haven't seen it yet. Don't let the bastards drag you down. You're one of the good ones. Yeah, look, like I said, we've sponsored a local football team, helping out a young MMA fighter. We do try to give back and do good in our own community, and now we're being... Yeah, sorry. It makes me very angry. Would you take Alonso as manager plus Trent back? Yes and no. Yes to the Alonso part, no to the Trent part. Look, for me, the reason I say no to Trent is because the only world where that becomes a possibility is a world where Liverpool buy him back. And I don't want Liverpool buying back a player that walked out the door for next to nothing. Pretty much on a free. Yes, they gave us, £8 million, €10 million to get him for the Club World Cup. So no, I wouldn't want him back because I don't want Liverpool doing a Paul Pogba on it and paying for a player that they let go for next to nothing to bring back. And with the way he went as well and the underhanded nature of it all. So would I take Alonso though? Yes, I would. I would take Alonso. But again, I would understand that there's probably a change of system coming with that. But I actually think after a summer business, we're still light numerically for the defenders. But I do think if you look at the players we brought in, your WIRTZs, Frimpong, Kirkes, I think they could lend themselves to a system with 3 or 5 at the back. J4 Messi said, I wouldn't take Trent back after what he did on was sly and dirty. Yeah, I agree. And just the pretense of he didn't know that he was going to move as well winds me up. VVD is not been playing well. No, he hasn't. And do you know what really worried me the other night, Paul, is for the first time ever, he looked flustered. I've never really seen Virgil look flustered, but the other night, after the penalty incident against PSV, and then the yellow card afterwards, he looked flustered, and I've never really seen Virgil look that way. He's usually calmness personified. So you can see that they're feeling some of them are feeling that pressure as well, which is understandable. They're in a high pressure environment, but if it's getting to Verge, and he's very strong mentally, that's concerning. Bro, that hoodie is fire. John, honestly, Connor bought himself one as well. I've bought loads of new stuff since Liverpool went back to Adidas because I'm an Adidas boy. But I have to say, of all the stuff I've bought, hoodies, jerseys, this hoodie alone is the best quality thing I've bought so far. Not saying any of the other stuff's been bad quality, it hasn't. But this feels so well made and so sturdy. Yeah, if you see this anywhere and you're thinking of getting it for Christmas for yourself or something, do. You won't regret it. It is a really good quality piece of clothing and really well made. And then thank you again, Bull Detector, man. Appreciate your support. Colin said, would you take Alonso as manager? We've done that one. Gareth said, WIRTZ will shine. Believe in him. Dude, I have zero lack of belief in him. I am unapologetically a fan of Florian Wirtz and unapologetically defend him because he is an absolute quality player. No doubt in my mind he's going to work out with us. And I'm actually looking forward to rubbing it into some of the non-Liverpool fans who've been bantering us over him. I'm looking forward to the I told you so's. Huh. Sky Sports Austria, and their journalist Mark Janko, on Oliver Glasner potentially receiving a call to become the Liverpool manager. Perhaps Oliver Glasner should turn on his phone because I imagine he may receive a call soon. That's interesting. I'm going to have to send Connor a message on this. Hey, Connor, I think I'm going to have to record a little video about this Glasner stuff if you haven't seen it. So can you throw a thumbnail together for me? Cheers, bro. And thank you, Kino, for sending that in to me. Legend. I've been blessed with some incredible chief moderators, by the way. Mark, who was the chief moderator before Keane. I don't know why I've gotten so lucky, but Keane has been a superstar. Always sending me press conference notes, always sending me stuff from after the games, always keep me informed on any breaking news and stuff. So yeah, big love to Keane. Absolute legend, mate. Thank you. Placing a bet against us to lose, win-win. So I've admitted on a few occasions, mate, that I do that in cup finals. When Liverpool are in a cup final, I bet against us. And I do it for my own well-being. Because if we lose, at least I win a few quid. And if we win, I don't care about losing the money. So yeah, mate, I've done that before. Just as a fail-safe to make myself feel better. J4 Messi said, Madrid, now they don't want him. They'll try their best to go for Wirtz, but I hope our owners are not that stupid and fall for the tricks they always pull. Look, they had their chance to get Wirtz. They knew Alonso was coming in as manager, and they had their chance to get Florian Wirtz, and they didn't. He's a Liverpool player. That's why I can't believe the stuff from Didi Hamann. Yeah, can't believe it. There's just no chance in God's green earth that we're loaning him out. I would give Konate a new contract, then immediately sell him. Absolutely effing useless. I want Mo sold in the summer. Unbelievable servant. Time to go. I probably would have worded that a little bit differently. So I probably have gone something like this, Maddie. I would give Konate a new contract to protect his value. Because yeah, at least then, if he doesn't pick his form back up over the next year, yes, you could then maybe look to move him on. But look, I think if he signs a new deal, it will be it will be because people believe in him and want him to stay. And look, as I've said, I want him to stay, but I won't lose a minute's sleep if he goes. Yeah, I won't lose a minute's sleep if he does go. He's not an era-defining player for me. Sorry, Connor's sending me something now. USA Cop White, man, that's very kind of you. Appreciate you, mate. That's, yeah. I don't actually like ice cream too much, to be honest with you, but I will adhere to get something to make the pain go away. So thank you, man. That's very kind of you. And I didn't see you yesterday, but happy Thanksgiving. Would you take Luis Enrique as manager? Yes, and actually, there's some chatter that could exactly be what Liverpool are trying to do in the summer. So I can't remember what newspaper it was in. It was on back pages tonight on Sky, and there was talk that Liverpool are trying to make a play for Luis Enrique in the summer. Look, I don't know if it's absolute garbage or not, but they mentioned it on back pages tonight last night. Anfield sector, new post. Do feel free to fill me in on what it is. We've got about 10 minutes left before I finish up. Reminder, I won't be live tomorrow, just to let you guys know again. We are going to put out a video tomorrow, but we'll be back live then for the game on Sunday. And we'll have a late night agenda on Sunday night as well. Right, Keno, thank you, mate. Arne slot on whether he needs to shake up his starting side. Is the question, shall I change drastically? If, for example, you want another system of 5 defenders, that could be an issue. I don't even have 5 defenders. It suits the players best, the system we're playing now. They've played this system probably throughout their whole career, and there is hardly any training time for us. So it's almost impossible to change our complete idea of football if we play every 2 days. That's kind of a something and nothing thing. Yeah, he didn't say he would or wouldn't really. Anyway, I'll cover all of these things in the late news update video I'm going to do, which is going to be including that Oliver Glasner stuff. So I'm going to go in a couple of minutes, and I will have that video out for you by probably 11:10. I know it's late, but sure, it's Friday. Zidane or Simeone for next manager vote? No. Simeone's a football terrorist, and Zidane is not the right fit for us culturally. And when I say culturally, I don't mean anything to do with his ethnicity or where he comes from. I mean, he's a Galactico, a Real Madrid kind of ego-driven. He's just not... He doesn't have the humility for us, and he doesn't speak English. As a player, and what he achieved at Madrid, as a coach, incredible. Wow. But I think he's going to be the next French manager after the World Cup. And Simeone, absolute no. Jesus, no. He's got that emotion I talk about all the time, but my God. Imagine looking at our players acting and rolling around like some of them boys in Atletico Madrid do. God, no. Glasner has school slot each and every time. He has. There's no denying. Like, this is what I'm saying with Slot this year. We're starting to see failures in his ability to outthink other managers as well, which we haven't, I would never would have labelled against him last year. He doesn't have great English, and it would feel dangerous with his Real Madrid connections. Maybe the Champs could be a possibility. Not for me, though. I was going for the Madrid rivalry. Get what you mean, mate. Get what you mean. Sorry. Get what you mean. Like I said, I just don't think it would be for us. I just don't think it'd be a good fit for us personally. I've always said, though, I could have seen a world where Klopp went and managed Atleti Madrid. I could see a world where that's the type of club I think Klopp could go into. How about Rafa, said George. Yeah, I think I'm not going to say football's moved on past Rafa and Mourinho and all, but I think it to some extent it kind of has. Now I know he's doing really well. I think he's on a very good run. With his new club, is it Ferencvaros or one of the Greek clubs maybe or something? I'm not sure. Panathinaikos. I can't remember where he's gone, but I know he's somewhere and doing quite well. But no, not for me, not for Rafa. And I love Rafa. I assume if Ireland qualify for the World Cup, you'll support them, not Argentina. Of course, mate. But I'll always still have my Argentina shirt on standby because I'm a Messi fanboy, and I got myself. I don't usually get numbers written on a shirt, but I got Messi 10 on this Argentina shirt because it's going to be the last one. And I also got myself a signed Messi shirt, which I still can't believe I have. Zachary, how are we, dude? Craig, when Frimpong and Connor come from injury, if Connor were to start, what will happen with Frimpong and where will Frimpong play with our defence struggling? Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see what he does when Salah's at the AFCON. Does he give Chiesa the minutes? Does he, give them to Frimpong? It is interesting, yeah, and I don't know is the answer. I would say Bradley's the starting right back in my estimations, but Frimpong certainly will be a very interesting squad player, but I don't know where he'll nail down a starting place. Right, let's have a quick look at this one. So, we're about 260-70 votes away from 1,000. So if you haven't voted real quick before we finish up, we're asking, who is your starting right back when fit? Connor Bradley or Jeremy Frimpong? We'll give it another minute or two to see how many we can get, and then we'll call it a night. I can't believe there's even Harry on this. I can't believe it's even possible that we may qualify. It still feels mad. What a week that was, beating Portugal and then beating Hungary. Just incredible. It still doesn't feel like it's possible, and it shows what a good vibe there is in Ireland now. All the FAI Ireland season tickets sold out like that. After that game, all of them sold out immediately, which is great to see. I'm happy to see them getting that support and the belief back, because it's been testing times for Irish football fans. If Wales and Northern Ireland make the final World Cup, who will I support? If Wales and Northern Ireland make the final for the World Cup, who would I support? It's a good question. Wales, I think. I don't know, actually. Do you know what? I'd be buzzing for either. Genuinely, I would. I don't buy into any of this sectarian religious divide nonsense. I think people are people, and we all live on this island of Ireland, and the Welsh are fucking brilliant as well, as are the Scots, as are the English. I don't know. Honestly, I'd just be buzzing for either one of them. And I would say the session in either country would be incredible. But when it was over, or even for the final, I don't know. I truly don't know on that one. I'd wish them both well. Craig, surely we can have a run at Inzaghi. Maybe, yeah. Look, he's over. Was it Al Hilal he's over with now? I don't know. Certainly a very credible name. Right, so we're going to end this poll, and 70% of the people that voted for Connor Bradley. So 70% of and it was a quick poll, went for Connor Bradley. So look, I'm going to go record this news update video with a few bits of news stories that have just come out after the 10:30, embargo, and a few other things. So a few things we want to have spoken about tonight over the next few minutes, and yeah. I hope you're right about the case, man, Craig, because you just put his family at risk. How have I put anyone's family at risk? And what case, man, are you on about? The guy that ratted me out? He absolutely ratted me out. There's nothing, and I haven't put anyone's family at risk. Have I named anybody? Have I threatened anybody? I went out of my way to say there's nothing physical going on. So, again, Wayne, nice to know where your loyalties are, mate, and thank you, and also bye. Cheers. Really great to know you're supportive there, Wayne. Thank you, mate. Nice to throw an accusation at me as well to finish up. Good man. Yeah, never mind. My family's been put at risk financially, or mate. We just look after the cunt in this situation, the little prick. That's fair enough. Right. We'll see you. I was going to say I'll see you tomorrow, but I won't. I'll see you on Sunday for the game, and yeah, have a good one. Whatever you're doing tomorrow, hope you have a great day, and fingers crossed we get back to winning ways on Sunday. We'll be live at about 12:45 for the game, and yeah, we'll see you then. Much love. Bye bye.